Imagine someone who keeps borrowing money from you every single month, but every time you ask, how far now business they work, they say yes, it is working. Very soon I go say to you. Meanwhile, they are still coming back to borrow more. That's basically what is happening with Nigeria's debt right now. And the finance minister says the government hasn't borrowed another 80 trillion naira. But Dr. Paul Alaje breaks down why that claim isn't as simple as it sounds.
Depends on perspective. If you are looking at going to the market fresh to ask for new money, federal government borrowed but may not be up to 80 trillion naira. Here is the real fact. We borrow money over the years. And when we borrow in hard currency, exchange rate becomes a major factor. Suppose our exchange rate today is 500 naira to the dollar. What that means is that all the money we borrow from outside Nigeria is going to be halved. We are going to have 1/2 of the exact money we are owing today. That's the truth. But because what we borrow as of this moment today, we are using the current exchange rate. What that means is that the total money we hold, exchange rate as a major factor. The question therefore will be, do we say that Nigeria is not owing money? The answer will be no. Or is it about an administration that borrowed or the one that did not borrow? Recall that in 2022, I had granted an interview with your business editor, Mr. Bosin Omofai, and I said that within a month, Nigeria added 1 trillion naira. 1 trillion naira by not borrowing new money, but by devaluing the currency. So here is it. There are effects of devaluation. And in fact, in economics, we call it money illusion. You hear that our revenue has increased. But what you are not looking at is that the more the revenue increase, our debt is also swelling, quote and unquote, like Ijebugari. Now, the effect of debt is happening to all of us. And that is not the real conversation for me, doctor. The real conversation for me is using debt to refinance, which was mentioned in that statement. What does that mean? There are two types of money. There is cold money, there is hot money. Hot money, like hot tea, that is 100 degrees, and you pour it directly in your mouth, it burns. So now that the hot money may burn our fingers. Why? Because of interest rates. Why? Because when the money comes, on what are we investing? So you see that just yesterday, the central bank, of course, took a very important decision by holding rate at 26.5%. That gives those that want to foreign portfolio investors can come to Nigeria and make some investment. But are they investing in real sector? Are they investing in portfolio? Are they buying our stock, our shares, our treasury bill, our bonds? Because the rates are high. They put their money into that. We need the money because all we have been doing over time is short-term solution. They are called quick fixes. We fix the problem today, we raise new money in the market, we find another quick fixes, but the long-term real solution will be because at the end of the day, Naira has been always susceptible to devaluation. And I say this in the last 40 years of study. Naira has been susceptible to devaluation. What will exchange rate be in the next 30 years? Do we expect Naira to improve in value or the value of Naira to emaciate? Well, the answer is obvious. So what will happen to debt by that time? Will our debt still be increasing or decreasing? So definitely government has had new borrowings, but is it up to what government has borrowed? The answer is no. But this is why economics is very important. Unlike accountants will look at the book value. Economics, we look at implicit and explicit value. We look at two values, unlike accountants. So accountant will tell you this is what we did. Economics will tell you even what you are not doing is a cost. So did Nigeria borrow up to that amount? Yes, because we are also adjusting our exchange rate. So if you ask me, did we borrow up to that? Yes. But if you are speaking nominally, if you are speaking accounting, I will tell you, no, we did not borrow up to the money. But at the end of the day, it's not about Nigeria accounting. It's about Nigeria economists. And you need economists to look into that.
Okay, let me break that down in plain terms. So it's basically saying, yes, if you are only counting fresh money the government went and borrowed this year, maybe it is not up to 80 trillion naira. But here's the catch. Nigeria borrows a lot of that money in dollars. So imagine you borrowed $100 from your neighbor when dollars was 460 naira. Back then, that is about 46,000 naira. But now, dollar is like 1,500 naira. You didn't borrow 1 extra cent from your neighbor, but suddenly in naira, you now owe 150,000 naira. That's exactly what is happening to Nigerians' debt. The naira just keeps getting weaker. So the same debt looks like it is baloney even without new loans. He called it money illusion. The debt is swelling like juju. It's worse, not mine. To put real numbers on it, in 2024, Nigeria owed about 144.46 trillion naira. That is roughly 630,000 naira for every single Nigerian. If you just divide it across the population, by 2025, that number moved to 152.4 trillion naira, about 650,000 naira per person. Now, to be clear, because I need to make this very clear, That doesn't mean you personally owe that money. It is just the total debt shared across all of us on paper. But it shows you how fast this thing is moving, and economists actually agree. It is not just about devaluation, and it is not just new borrowing. It is both mixed together, like pepper and salt in the same soup. You can't always tell which one is doing more work, but you definitely taste the heat. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Rufai Oseni pushed him further. Where exactly is this borrowed money going? And before Dr. Alaje answered, Rufai played a clip of a House of Representatives member, Senator Mungunu, who was clearly frustrated. Watch this.
Alaje, I'd like to call for a tape by Senator Mungunu. Let's watch that tape, then it will address some of the questions I'm going to ask.
If we have exceeded the target of our revenue collection, it is inherently contradictory for government to woefully fail to implement the budget. Where are this revenue going to? If the budget, for example, 2025 budget, has not been implemented, and we have to roll over 70% of 2025 to 2026, and that with the promise that 30% will be implemented before March. Up to March, even 30% was not implemented. National Assembly has to extend the lifespan of the budget up to September to allow government to implement just 30% component of 2025 budget. The issue of 2026 have not arisen completely, has not arisen. Has not even started up initial. It has not even arisen. So don't you think is it not contradictory? Or where are these revenues going to the extent that the budget is not being implemented? It is through the implementation of the budget that dividends of democracy is being brought to the doorsteps of the people. If the budget is not being implemented, where is the function of government? For example, security of lives and property of the people is the primacy of governance. All the security agencies that we have interacted with them, they are reporting to us that they have received zero allocation in terms of their capital. Where are these monies going to? This is my question. Why is budget not implemented?
I'm sure, Mr. Alaje, you heard that tape. And that's what I've been calling for. So for all of those that have been in defense of Mr. Oyedele, my very good friend and brother, which we've known way before, he became a minister. The question is, where is that funding going to? And even the monies that are being collected, where is the funding going to? Second question I want to ask you is what we are doing with the Forex. Like I was saying this morning, we have deliberately kept interest rate high so that we can have foreign portfolio investments to be able to use that money to balance out our dollar to naira rates, which is not a real way to run an economy. What should really run an economy should be the production from the foreign direct investment, not foreign portfolio investments. And that's why interest rates is 26.5, inflation rate is 15%. So two things that look good on paper now, and despite the fact that we've really kept our rates that high, the naira is still not its true value. It's still overvalued. The true value should be around 1,100 and something, as said by the World Bank. So like Senator Mungunu is asking, where is the money? You see, 2025, they're saying they can only fund with 30%. These are projects that can change the life of people. They've never started talking about 2026 at all. Please comment on all of this, sir.
Yeah, thank you so very much. It's very difficult to tell where all the money has gone to, but I can tell you that we have certain obligations that we must meet. One of them is recurrent expenditure. We cannot but satisfy recurrent expenditure. Number two is debt servicing, which was the first question Doctor and I think AY had asked earlier regarding the debt management and debt administration in Nigeria. So I believe that those ones are where the money is going to. The question now therefore will be that if we had met our revenue target, because Senator Mungunu said we had met our revenue target, I think he was quoting what the administration had mentioned. And I've said to you on this particular show that I doubt we have met our revenue target. Now, that does not mean that agencies of government have not done their best to meet the target given to them. I know they have. But when you look at the entire budget, it goes beyond what some agencies of government were given. So our revenue target to a large extent have not been met. If it has been met, we will not be discussing 70% of capital. Recall that capital is the most sensitive part of the budget. But because we are doing 70% of capital expenditure, most of the agencies that we interviewed are spent even the capital 100%. Because they've already done bidding, they've done procurement, the people that bidded, the contractors are supplied, and they are fine only for them to know that it's 30% they will get. Even some of them have not gotten 10 out of the 30 they were supposed to be given. So I think that to a large extent, Mr. Oyedele is relatively new in the Ministry of Finance, and I believe that he must have been having some conversation with the chief executive. But transparency is important. Some of this we need to be escalated, and we get to a point where people have proper understanding. If senators at that sensitive committee are asking questions about where the revenue is going to, it's important to provide some answers to the understanding of Nigerians so that people will not be thinking otherwise. And looking at the other points that you raised regarding interest rate is kept high and we are doing that. The truth is that if we reduce our interest rate, it's going to have impact on our reserve. If it has impact on our reserve, it's going to have impact on exchange rate. If it has impact on exchange rate, it's going to have impact on prices. If it has impact on prices, it's going to have impact on inflation. If it has impact on inflation, poverty will surge above 150 million people. So what should central bank do? And that is why we say you need 2 hands to clap. So you can see the trajectory, you can see the possibility along the monetary authority. And monetary authority feels our mandate, our interest is to ensure we have price stability and exchange rate stability.
Alaje, by keeping interest rate at 26.5, we are starving the real sector that's supposed to bring about the productivity. Because the real sector...
I agree with you.
Yes, because the real sector, you and I are not going to bank and taking loans at over 30%. And that's why we are not having the foreign direct investment to power the economy. That's how an economy grows, not from foreign portfolio investment.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. That is why the reform should not be in some sector of the economy. It should be on the overall economy. In fact, the reform we have practiced can be traced to to the impact directly on human beings. So I agree with you. I'm not disputing what you said. It's correct.
You heard that? The senator himself is asking if government says they have exceeded their revenue targets. Why is only 30% of the 2025 budget actually implemented? Where is the money going? And sincerely speaking, Dr. Alaje's answer was honest. He said it is hard to track every single couple, but a big chunk goes into recurrent expenditure and debt servicing, meaning paying back what is already owed and keeping government running day to day. Those bills must be paid, whether or not there's money left for anything else. And here's the part that should worry you. Security agencies reportedly got zero capital allocation in that budget. I mean, zero. In a country dealing with banditry and kidnapping, especially up north. Now think about it like this. Imagine a house where the father keeps borrowing money, says business is improving, yet the children are the ones going hungry. And now he is asking the children to bring out their own pocket money to help them. Viewers, that's basically the picture here. So let's put this whole thing together. Government borrows, Naira falls, so the debt looks bigger. They raise interest rates currently 26.5% to attract foreign investors. But that money mostly goes into treasury bills and bonds, and just like what Dr. Alaje calls hot money, like drinking tea that is 100 degrees. If you are not careful, it is going to burn your fingers. It doesn't go into the real sector, the businesses and jobs that actually help ordinary people like you and I. Meanwhile, revenue targets keep getting missed. So government brings supplementary budget, which means more spending, which means more borrowing. Reforms are working, they say. On paper, maybe, just maybe. But in real life, projects are stuck at 30% completion. Security agencies aren't funded, and ordinary Nigerians like you and me are still being told to share our personal money to help. So I want to ask you this. Who is really paying the price for all of this? Well, like I always say on this channel, I'm not telling you what to take. I just wanted you to understand it clearly in simple terms, because this affects every single one of us, whether we understand economics or not. So make sure you drop your honest thoughts in the comments. Sincerely speaking, I'd love to see what you have to say. You have to drop your 2 cents because this concerns you, like I said. If this helped you understand it is better, make sure you subscribe to Ask Dami. My name is Dami. Don't forget to share this video, and I'll see you in my next video.